The new Green Lantern for DC's Infinite Frontier just dropped, and there are some things worth covering in it, for sure. At first I was worried looking at the cover, thinking this would just be a reboot with the new Teen Lantern as the main character, but it doesn't seem that that's the case at all. It's actually quite an enjoyable story so far, and kind of meshes together a lot of what we've been thinking. As we pick up with the first panel, things have already gone to shit. We've been given glimpses into the future with DC's future state, and this appears to be the battle on Oa that decimates the Green Lanterns. John Stewart appears to be holding his own against an enemy, whoever they are. However, it doesn't seem to just be Green Lanterns here. There are a few Sinestro Corps members around, and even Red Lanterns. Even a Thanagarian roaming around the fight blaming the Lanterns for everything happening, saying that the rings are the thing that's feeding that creature. As John thinks about what the Thanagarian said, Hal's voice interrupts him, and we transition 2 hours before these events happen. It seems Hal is talking to John about cosmic politics through construct communication. John seems to be worried about this, hosting the United Planets Conclave. They've invited some downright, honestly evil people here, including the Dominators, the Sinestro Corps, the Red Lanterns, and this doesn't sit well with John. It's the opinion of some that the Green Lantern Corps should be disassembled and that the Guardians should be denied a right on the Council of Planets that is being built. And as they approach the Guardians of the Universe, we then get a great shot of Hal explaining to the Guardians of the Universe where the main cast of characters are currently. And keep in mind, this is where everybody winds up during the events of DC's future state. Hal is on Earth, Jessica goes to Sector 123, and although we didn't know this before, Kyle is off in the Vegas system during these events. This may be implied that he got captured by Larfleeze when all the rings got deactivated. Very interesting. Hal Jordan tries to comfort John over the whole universal government idea, but unfortunately, John doesn't seem to be buying it. Hal tells him to remember what the Blue Lanterns always say. All will be well. How ironic given what we know what happens in future state. John then joins the Guardians of the Universe in some evaluation chamber. Joining Simon Baz and the Teen Lantern Kelly Quintella in that evaluation chamber, John watches as Kelly is fighting a group of unknown assailants while throwing quips and interrupting John and Simon's conversation. Apparently they were there to evaluate the young Kelly, but tried to remove the gauntlet from her. John recognizes how problematic this is, as she wields a gauntlet that makes her as powerful as several lanterns by herself, if not the whole corps. The entire corps. This demonstrated her ability to fight off multiple Guardians at once, as it appears it was Guardians trying to study her and remove the gauntlet off of her. The fact that they can't is scary. The Guardians confirm that this gauntlet is not Krona's gauntlet, but it is also not Owen in design, which comes with even worse implications. Apparently, they still have Krona's gauntlet in their vaults after Hal brought it back during the events of DC Rebirth. That gauntlet was powerful enough to wage war against the entire Green Lantern Corps, and it did. If it's not Krona's, then who has the ability to create an artifact of such power? It coinciding with the new Omniverse and the new rise of the United Planets seems too much of a coincidence for the Guardians. Something is amiss, but they aren't sure what or who yet. However, as they fly to this delegation of United Planets to decide the fate of the Guardians and the Green Lantern Corps, the Guardians grow worried as the tapestry of the Omniverse hasn't fully been rewoven. They consider this situation a dangling thread amongst the tapestry and asks John what he thinks. John's surprised that they are asking him, but they say he is unique amongst all his Lantern brothers as he shares experiences they cannot have, and he's always just been somebody they trusted. You know, outside of his original origin, he's been much more order driven than a lot of the other classic GLs. And as they arrive at this meeting place, pretty much all notable species from DC you can imagine are here. You've got Thanagarians, Korrigarians, Ronians, Daxamites, Kaluans, Tamaranians, amongst pretty much everyone you could imagine. And all are arguing about what exactly they should be doing with this new society and what exactly they're going to represent. And this shot gives us a really good idea of just how many planets are involved. And honestly, it reminds me a lot of like the Galactic Senate from Star Wars. I mean, what could possibly go wrong with something like that, right? However, the Kaluan delegate gets everyone back onto the original topic that was brought up. What do they do with the Green Lantern Corps, and what do they do with the Guardians of the Universe? The question isn't whether they're going to continue being protectors, it's whether they're even going to be involved at all. Meanwhile, John asked Simon to take Kelly out to a festival that was occurring to celebrate this new United Planets type of thing. Bumping into some aliens, Kelly says they remind her of her trip into Gemworld because they look so trippy. Gemworld is a magical plane of existence that she already fought her way out of, as she explains it to everyone kind of listening. A place that has like flying horses, dragons, wizards, a complete magic type of setting. And the alien asks her what sector she's overlooking, and she says, "Oh, well, I'm not really a real lantern." And she's cut off as a voice from behind her says she's not, she's a falseling. They turn to find the Gemworld delegation, beings of pure raw magic who grow frustrated with Kelly because crossing into the Gemworld plane is impossible for her. Kelly claims to have fought through Gemworld before she made it here and doesn't like being called a liar. They begin shunning her and her masters of the Guardians of the Universe for all being liars, deceivers, and jailers. She continues to say that without the Guardians of the Universe, they could have made dreams of reality in this plane of existence, too, if it wasn't for the Guardians stealing the Star Heart. What's the Star Heart? Well, here's a quick refresher for those of you who haven't read wildly obscured Green Lantern comic. The Star Heart is a big piece of history for both the Guardians of the Universe and Alan Scott. Well, who in hell is Alan Scott? Alan Scott's the original OG Green Lantern who isn't powered through the emotional spectrum technology that other Green Lanterns use. For a long time, him being the first Green Lantern, he was simply using a mystic flame inside a lantern that powered him and his ring, but it was revealed in one of the Justice Society of America issues that the Guardians of the Universe basically are, whether they didn't like magic or they were afraid of them, it doesn't really matter, because either way, the Guardians of the Universe broke the cosmos by containing any and all magic they possibly could in the verse so that they could limit the threats that come as a result of magic, because magic's inherently chaotic, and they simply want to create order. Well, it turns out that giant ball of magic that they essentially grabbed and trapped inside a star gained consciousness, got super angry, and killed like tons of people. And eventually, it was Alan Scott who fought him and wound up absorbing the remaining power, and that's essentially his new power set. Or I mean, new by like 2000, 2000 standards. Like 2000, I want to say it's 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. But yeah, the Star Heart's an ongoing villain of pure raw magic, extremely powerful, and has been gone for a minute. We haven't really heard too much on it. And apparently, whenever the Guardians of the Universe went and snagged up all that magic, as she said earlier, she claims that they broke the universe when they did that. And their plane of existence being magical in nature was directly affected by that. And as a result, they were limited and their access to our plane was limited, or at least I feel like that's what's being implied here. And so they're very frustrated with the Guardians of the Universe getting involved in magic in general. And so she lashes out against Kelly and begins to try and, it looks like, kidnap her and or grab her. And Simon immediately jumps up to defend her because he was given orders to defend Kelly. Don't let no one mess with her. And as a result, a huge fight breaks out between the Gemworld delegation and both of the Lanterns. Meanwhile, back in the new DC Galactic Senate, the delegate of Kaluans, aka Brainiac's people, are up to speak. And the female speaker that they have actually makes an argument for the Green Lantern Corps and the Guardians to be involved in the new verse because they've always been strong assets for order, and actually votes for them to remain in as the final people, pushing as in a positive way for them, for the Guardians and the Green Lantern Corps. The votes begin after she says so. And each one either denies the GLs or they accept them into the new United Planets type of government that will exist. However, they decide that they need to catch back up with the Green Lantern delegation, since they've just been kind of, I don't know, like screwing off this whole time. Catching back up with the GL delegation, it turns out it was Superman and his son who were at fault for starting the whole United Planets idea. How ironic that they would cause a problem from Earth that would affect the entire now Omniverse with the idea that, oh, it can all just work out. And it's around this time, right as he shakes Guy's hand, that he immediately gets a construct communication. It's from Simon. He's suited up. And immediately John knows something's up. Simon says, I need help. Immediately going to where Simon is, it appears the entire delegation from Gemworld is now holding hands with some sort of green exploding energy coming off of them. It's unclear as to what's happening, but Simon says, we need you on deck, dude. Things are not looking good. They're casting some sort of magic. We don't even really know what's going on with whatever is happening there. And Thanagarian shows up to shit talk everybody associated, and she's blaming them for everything. And he says, hey, well, chill out. We've got people talking to them, trying to talk them down right now. And essentially, these four magical beings are casting an extremely powerful spell. And this spell is digging deep down into the roots of Oa, like down into the deepest layers of Oa, and is destroying everything, finding all of their secrets. It's just doing everything that nobody wants anyone to do, essentially. They cast this spell called adamantium or some crazy word, and then they say feed, 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 and the spell begins to go haywire on the third feed. It throws everybody back. We're seeing characters like Red Lanterns get thrown aside by this, and this is where we cut back to that opening shot where Jon Stewart's telling everyone to fall back as these giant energy tendrils are being unleashed from the planet. Back in the realm of politics with the new galactic DC Senate, Sinestro is the one up talking with all of his Yellow Lanterns, sporting a pretty new, savvy, dressy version of their attire. And Sinestro's out here essentially saying, yo, dude, I was one of the greatest of the GLs. The Guardians are evil as fuck. All they ever do is commit genocides. Everything about them is not good. They gave into fear at every possible turn. Why let them rule everyone when I've mastered it? I've mastered fear. I vote to deny them. They should have no right to be in our society. Back on the battlefield, Stewart isn't sure what to do, man. He's tried everything. He's even considering maybe breaching away with his ring into the Phantom Zone to drag it in there, but he's desperate. But someone from behind him actually reaches out to him and says, hey, there's no way you'll be able to do that against it. The Guardians built it to defy an attack like this. It's written in the Book of Oa. John turns to the guy and says, what could you possibly have to offer me? Why do you know about any of this? And he says, well, way back in the day, this adamantium is the source of peace itself. Before the Manhunters, the Guardians essentially created it as they feared the spectrum of emotions because emotions are uncontrollable. And he says, I've never been comfortable with that description. And he says, what comes of all of those emotional things? I've never been a fan of how that kind of works out. John goes, that's a great idea. I think I've got it all together. A source of peace. Okay. So he pulls up his ring and immediately communicates with everyone. Hey, everyone form up. I need all of the other lanterns out of here. I need them all evacuated along with the civilians. And he tells all of the lanterns, take off your rings. We don't need them. We have will, but we don't need our rings to do that. The best thing we could possibly do here is nothing. Because if we do nothing, it will stop. And he looks towards the rest of them as they cease and do nothing. In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape our sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware our power, Green Lantern's light. And the whole time as they speak the Green Lantern oath, they watch this giant creature shrivel and shrink down into nothing more than something inside John Stewart's palm. And as he approaches the general delegation is still angry, still mad, still trying to enact their vengeance upon the Green Lanterns and the Guardians. John says it's true. We've all made mistakes. The Green Lantern Corps is not innocent of everything. And back on the political sides of things, as one of the many Guardians of the Universe speak out in defense of themselves, they agree. They are flawed, and they've been trying to rule the universe for a long time and have made a lot of really bad decisions in doing so. And I quote, "We have believed the myth of our omnipotence, and that myth is done. We are not your rulers. We are not your parents. We are perhaps your eldest siblings. We agree it is time we became a family, became one. We will accept your decision, whatever it may be." And after they calculate all the votes from every single society in existence, the Guardians of the Universe are welcomed into the new DC Galactic Senate. However, the Gemworld delegation that sits inside this room hears that and is not happy. One of the men riding a dragon turns and creates a magical bow and arrow in his hands and says, "No, we must free the Starheart," and fires an arrow at the Guardians delegation, killing one of the Guardians of the Universe instantaneously. Everybody stares in awe at the problem at hand. Everybody upset and shocked. Everyone. Besides Sinestro. Though DC Future State gave us a lot of the information we kind of already knew was happening here, the political side of things is very interesting. And it also seems that the Starheart problem is already solved, so does that mean that we potentially averted the DC Future State from happening, or are things still going to happen from here? DC Future State's or DC Infinite Frontiers in a very curious place, and I look forward to seeing where it goes. Sinestro's eyes watch over everything.